online predators is a big one. So there are games that you think are really harmless for kids, but then there are inappropriate people in the chat rooms.
Welcome to SafetyKay Safety Tips, where we cover important child safety topics for parents and educators. I'm Kay, a.k.a. SafetyKay, and today's segment features Paige Hanson, identity theft and cybersecurity expert. Paige has almost 20 years of experience in identity management. She's the co-founder of Secure Labs, and her background is in protecting consumers and businesses from identity theft and cyber threats. Paige has contributed to a national identity theft training program with the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, and she has trained 1,000 law enforcement officials, victim advocates, military personnel with NOVA. She enjoys being a regular speaker and a media to go, helping keep digital safety on everyone's radar. At home in Arizona, Paige enjoys life with her husband and daughter and their boxer, Stella. And no, Stella's name is not her password. So, welcome, Paige. Welcome, Paige, today. Thank you for being here. And we're going to dive right into some important topics for parents and educators on how we navigate challenges of children being online and ensure they're safe in today's digital world. So, let's jump right into it. What are some of the most important online threats children face today?
First, thank you so much for having me. But some of the common threats are cyberbullying, you see online predators, identity theft, and then we've seen a massive push to just an exposure to inappropriate content for the age that they are.
How can parents identify if their children have been victims of identity theft or cyberbullying?
So identity theft can show up in really strange ways. So one particular thing is you might see unusual mail. So your kids shouldn't be getting a ton of mail at this time. So if they're getting pre-approved credit card offers or mail from banks or official mail that they've never applied for, that's a tail there. And then you might get charges on their credit card or debit card that you might share with them, or they might have, when they go to open accounts, they might have trouble opening up their accounts. So that's
Okay.
identity theft. Cyberbullying, you might see behavioral changes. So they might become anxious or withdrawn or super secretive.
Those are great tips. And I'm pretty sure parents, can definitely use that, just kind of being aware, right? And really keeping up with what their kids are doing on a day to day basis. What are some steps that parents can take to protect their child's identity online?
Well, it really starts first with a conversation, and it's not just a one and done topic. It's an ongoing conversation. Um, a children's identity is tied to just overall online safety, and I think as parents we first have to take a step back because we created a huge online presence and a digital footprint for our kids because we are sharing milestones online, from the day they were born to every grade that they're entering, any, sporting events or achievements we are capturing online and posting. So one, we have to do a better job as parents to make sure our profiles are more safe and buttoned up, but then you're not posting your children's school, your children's age, their date of birth, and all of the pieces of identifying information that a fraudster could use and misuse to create identity theft.
No, that's a great point. Something that you mentioned, like sharing, like even locations when you go out of town for vacation, just everything is being posted now online. So, and I know we want everyone to be a part and like share, but also we have to be conscious of what we're doing because someone's always watching, and once it's
It's
online, yeah, yeah.
it's there, and that you make a really good point because that is where we encourage you to do a later gram. So post after you get back
Hmm.
versus in real time.
Yes. Mm.
Give it a few days because then your home is not unattended. You think, oh, my friends and family would never do this, but not every person has the best intention. And, some of the friends you might have on social media aren't really your friends. You might know them,
Hmm.
but they're not really your friends. So if you wouldn't want them to see that, somebody you don't really know, then it's likely we need to just take a step back, look at our own profiles, and secure them.
Yeah, very true. Okay, what age should parents start discussing online privacy and safety with their kids?
It is never too early. You can start the conversations as soon as the kid starts using the internet. So that's usually around 5 or 6. Uh, you start by, maybe talking about what's appropriate to take photos of, because I have a young child and she loves to take photos. So we talk about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to take photos of. So you just start the conversation, and the sooner you start that conversation, the more just relaxed it is. So it's not a parent saying, do this, don't do that. I personally love resources like the Smart Talk. The
Mhm.
smarttalk.org is a conversational tool to have a conversation and help facilitate the conversation at age appropriate level, depending on where they're at, with online safety and being online. And so it gears the conversation based off what's appropriate.
What role do you think social media platforms play in child online safety, and how can they be held accountable?
I think social media platforms can definitely have more of a default privacy settings. A lot of times, when you sign up for an app, you have to go in and change the privacy settings because it's just giving out too much information. It might be a public profile and you need to change it to a private profile, is just one example. So if you had those default privacy settings where it was in the best interest of that child at that age, then that's going to be better. But they also have to be more transparent about how they're using your data. You're giving out tons of information depending on what platform you're using or what game you're playing. And so being able to be more transparent about how they're using that will help you decide with your child if that's an appropriate way to use your data or your best use of time.
Can you explain the risk associated with children sharing personal information like their name, their school, their location, and on social media or gaming platforms?
Yeah, identity theft is a big one. Somebody gets a hold of your name, they and where you're from, they can definitely look for more information. Cyberbullying, we see bullying. You used to be able to step away from any bullying that was happening at school, but now you're connected with your device 24/7. So it can definitely expose you to that. But uh, online predators is a big one. So there are games that you think are really harmless for kids, but then there are inappropriate people in the chat rooms, or you're playing games with what you think is a 13-year-old boy, and it's not. It's a man from halfway around the world with not your best interest. So and they start out as friendly, and then push the boundaries more and more and more before something bad might happen. So again, a continued conversation with your parent, with your kid, about the games they're playing and who they're playing with, is a really good idea.
Yeah, and I like that you keep stressing the point on continued conversation because I think a lot of times we may assume, right, that our kids know better or that we're doing everything we can by just having one conversation, but it's a continuous reminder, even if you have to repeat to make sure that you instill that habit, right, that they know what to do.
Well, it does, because the more you have open and honest communication, that builds trust.
Mm-hmm.
And and if let's say a parent chooses to do a monitoring tool, well,
Hmm.
that's then more about safety. It's not necessarily about spying.
Yes.
So the more you set your clear expectations and involve your children with
Hmm.
setting these online boundaries, that's really going to be making sure they understand the need for occasional check-ins versus, oh, my mom and dad are spying on me, I've got to find a workaround to do what I want to do. So it makes it best on both sides.
Okay, yeah, and that was perfect segue into my next question, which are what are some of the best practices for parents to monitor their child's online safety without invading their privacy,
Yeah,
if that's
just
even
that.
possible?
Well, if that's possible, it's hard. Look, it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. You will have to have these conversations, but the more you use tools like the Smart Talk, or you use a third party app, whether it's the Bark app or Circle, or whatever you're going to do, Life 360, you are doing that in conjunction with a conversation. We should never just install them, because then they don't have that sense of privacy. I mean, they shouldn't necessarily have privacy on the internet, but that's a discussion maybe for another time. But as long as you're having a conversation with them, and they understand why, that
Mhm.
usually leads to a better outcome.
So now shifting over to educators, right? How can schools and educators contribute to teaching children about online safety and identity protection?
Yeah, schools, they need to be able to integrate online safety into their curriculum. So you're promoting digital literacy, safer internet habits, but then also consider partnering with either parents or outside speakers. A fun way to engage kids about, and just really offering fresh perspectives about tackling these issues as well. So they're not hearing it just from mom or dad or just from school. You're really tackling it. You're having an outside speaker that really might connect with a child a different way.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, so we're kind of winding down to our three last questions. So, what should parents do if they suspect that their child's personal information has been compromised?
Well, you want to act fast, because you do not want your child to end up with a terrible credit score when they turn 18, and then they've got it's really hard to get their credit. So by contacting the three credit bureaus, it's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you can pull their credit report to even see if they have a credit report to begin with. And then from there, if there's any fraudulent activity, you can either freeze those accounts. If it's something to deal with a bank or maybe a credit card that's been opened, you contact that financial institution directly.
With the rise of smart toys and devices, how can parents ensure these are secure and not pose a privacy risk?
Oh, all of the smart toys, the connected devices, the Internet of Things, there are thousands and thousands, if not millions, of devices out there,
Mhm,
and more times than not, they're not going to be secure, because they're built and then they're no longer going to receive the patches or updates that they needed. So if you're getting some sort of smart device, you want to prioritize brands with strong security reputation. So look for reviews related to breaches. There'll be a number of people that recommend certain toys for certain things. You can, if you want, you can actually disable unnecessary features. So if a toy that your kid got has a camera in it,
mhm,
and there's no reason for it to have a camera or microphone,
mhm,
look for the directions on how to disable that.
mhm.
And then, if in doubt, just check on the internet. There is a whole forum usually dedicated to how to disable or how to update, and those are just things to keep in mind.
Okay, great. And this is the last question. So, what future trends in technology do you see impacting children's online safety, and how can parents prepare for them?
Ooh, we hear AI, and what does that mean for kids? But at the end of the day, it's advancing quickly.
Mhm,
Uh, Personally, I think it can be a really great tool for kids. They're going to
mhm,
learn. It's going to be a great tool, but it also introduces risks. So
mhm,
you've probably heard of sextortion photos,
mhm,
and somebody manipulating a photo of someone
mhm,
that is X-rated, but they put somebody else's head on it. That might be a
mhm,
student, and all of a sudden, they are plagued and inundated with people thinking they have a naked photo out there.
mhm,
And that can really lead to a whole number of issues.
mhm,
Also, voice cloning. So, whether they're manipulating your voice or manipulating your videos, all of that technology, while it's cool for the right reasons, it can be in the wrong hands. A really bad thing. So we really have to really stress the importance of teaching our children to verify before trusting. You know, you cannot accept something, a video, an image, a voice message is real until
mhm.
we verify. And so those are the steps we'd recommend for kids.
Okay. And last question, please tell us where we can reach you.
On LinkedIn, Paige Hanson, or my email's page@securelabs.ai.
Well, that is a wrap. Thank you again, Paige, for joining us today. And thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for another segment on SafetyKay Safety Tips. See you next time.